I know I said I would do Stellarium Part 2, but I'm fixing to be off-grid for a little while till I can figure out how to get internet back up. Of course, we all might be off-grid here in the next few days. I'll explain in a minute. I'll explain all of it at the end of this video in a personal update, but I won't bore you with that right now. We'll just get to the point. I've been asked a lot of questions about Comet Atlas and what is my opinion on it. We're not hearing a lot on the news, if anything, about Comet Atlas. I really don't know. I don't watch television. I do see a lot of headlines on the internet, though. And so I'll just tell you what I know about comets, because they are very important. Comets have their own orbital paths that we pay attention to, the ones that cross Earth's orbital path. Are we in jeopardy of being hit by a comet? More than likely not. The chances are astronomical. Jupiter and Saturn, especially Jupiter in this age because of Jupiter's magnetism, it's going to draw in, like Levy Shoemaker. Levy Shoemaker, Jupiter changed its trajectory and drug it into its orbit. It absorbs a lot. Just look at the moons that Jupiter and Saturn have. Speaking of moons, let's just, used to we could go on Stellarium and we could talk about, we could look at the comets. You could track them on Stellarium. Not anymore. Comet Atlas, nothing. It won't even key in. I can put Comet before Atlas. Nothing. It won't do anything. I can take Comet away and just do Atlas, and it takes you to a moon, Atlas, on Saturn. It's one of Saturn's moons. And that's what you get with just Atlas. Let's try just Comet. I love it because it says come cross. And that is definitely what they do. Here we just get a Prawn Nebula, false comet nebula. It's a nebula that appears like a comet from our perspective. So they've taken all that away from us on Stellarium. It is networked. Now, this Stellarium used to be different. Everything's being scrubbed. Like I said, there's no information, which is communication ruled by Mercury, coming out right now. It's all controlled 100%, and it is a 100% distraction. Distraction from what? Some people say distraction from like the Q movement and the military and the government's doing it, and others are it's distraction from Comet Atlas. It doesn't matter what the distraction is from. It's there for all of them. They don't want you to know anything. They've spent 100 years educating and programming. They call it educate, but programming us. Let me show you what they do to us. The heavens, the sun moves 1 degree in 72 years in the heavens. 1 degree. Halley's Comet comes around every 72 years. Isn't that ironic? And it's called the dread of kings. We go through 12 years of schooling with them pumping into our heads a perspective they want us to view this from. You have the school system with one perspective and the church, the other power, with another perspective. And from my perspective, they're both wrong, and they're both controlled oppositions. I don't know how to explain this, so I'm going to explain it this way with the story I heard off the internet somewhere. It might have been Reddit. It's about a small town, and the small town had 2 car lots. On one end was a Chevy car lot, and on the other end was a Ford car lot. And the managers of these two car lots would war with each other. They would do billboard wars and price reduction wars and TV wars and ad wars, and they had the whole town divided between Chevy and Ford. And so when the guy that actually owned the Chevy dealership died and his estate went into probate, they realized that he actually owned both companies. He owned the Ford company through a shell company, a fake company. So he owned both of them. And he invented the war between the two. And it didn't matter who you bought from or whose side you were on. He won no matter what. That is the game. Right there. So it doesn't matter which side you pick. You've picked a side. I hope that made sense and helps you to understand what's going on here, because that's what they do. Now I want to talk about the difference in the calendars. Like I said, they put these watches on our arms, on our left arm, no doubt. And it's divided into 12 hours a day, 24 hours a day into two 12-hour segments, which come from what I call Babylonian timeline, and it's based on the number 6. 6 times 6 is 36, makes the 360-degree circle. Now, this is based on really they give it to us in the number 12 on the watch, but it's called base 6. So they do time on base 6. The heavens do not. They use a 13-base lunar calendar. The lunar calendar carries the number 13. The solar calendar carries the number 12, hence 12 constellations. But like I've said, what we are looking at is an amalgamation of many zodiacs or many rings. This is the one ring that rules them all, because somewhere in it is astronomical art that comes from every zodiac in the world to rule them all. And you just have to, it's a lot of homework to figure out all of them, especially now. You really don't even have a chance now. I'm ahead of the curve. I was studying this before Google took over and scrubbed everything. So I had access to manuscripts. So to me, the oldest profession was not prostitution. It is astrology. Once we domesticated animals, the shepherds watched their flocks by night. So you watched the stars. You didn't have anything better to do. And it is a lunar thing. The moon rules the night. So it's actually quite logical. But the heavens work on the number 72. The sun moves 1 degree in 72 years. We live in a calendar that tells us we have 7 days a week. But in the heavenly calendars, the more appropriate would be 8 days a week. 8 days a week, 9 weeks a division, and 5 divisions for the whole. You can't call it a month because that word alludes to lunar, month. It's a monad, moon, lunar calendar. Aquarius is going to be a solar calendar, and it'll be like right now, it's cut into 4. We have earth, water, air, fire. We have spring, summer, winter, fall. But the new one is going to have 5. And a lot of people say spirit or ether, this and that. They just simply don't understand. What we're going to have, the new zodiac to me will be based into 5. The constellations will remain the same. They will just fall under different authorities. They're going to be reassigned. So we'll have 8 days a week, 9 weeks for what we would call a month and 5 months for a year. 8 times 9 is 72, times 5 is 360, and the 5 dividing lines will give us 365 for the perfect calendar. You can't do that in Babylonian math. That's why they had to add a leap year, to try to stop the wheel from turning. Please understand that. Now, the dread of kings. That's what comets are called, the dread of kings, because it means your time is up. Those that are in power, it's a time of a shift. Eclipses, comets. Everybody's worried about Comet Atlas. Comet Atlas is not going to hit us. Very rarely would the Earth suffer anything like that to a point of destruction. Well, because of Jupiter and Saturn. Their magnetism, especially Jupiter, the Sun's magnetism 1 would pull it in first, Jupiter second, and Saturn third for now. Saturn and Jupiter, what's going to happen is called an electromagnetic shift. There is a power that runs between Saturn and Jupiter. They're the two big boys on the block, and they're going to swap. You're seeing it happen now. You're seeing it try to be forced to happen now. I'm not really concerned about what's coming. Like I said, we're not going to get hit by Atlas. One, that's just a fact. But there are things we need to know, because this could be very well linked to blue Kachina, red Kachina. But to me, any information, like I said, I can't even go on Stellarium and look for Atlas. If I try to go on the internet and find somebody who's tracking it, that's always related back to some government or NASA. So, or even the Vatican has their telescopes where they watch the heavens. But we don't have any way of knowing the information they're giving us is authentic. We must go outside and look up for ourselves, to tell you the truth. But the thing about comets is, it's always been the dread of kings. They know they're in trouble when they see it, especially if they're in current opposition or war with somebody. But the problem with it is the tail of the comet. If the comet crosses the Earth's trajectory and our planet crosses the path of that comet, then it seeds the Earth. And different comets carry different chemicals. We can tell which chemical it's burning by the color spectrum. The color spectrum tells us. That's how they determine, like, what's in somebody's body. Well, they take the chemical out and they set it on fire. And the color of the fire tells you what chemical is being combusted. So they know what element in the universe is being dropped on us, or a new one. It could be a new one that we've never heard of, or we've never been through the path of that comet before, and it's an unknown variable. But most of them, yeah, we know, because they've been watching their flocks by night forever. Longer than we can even imagine. It is easy to look at this construct and think we live in a simulation, because it's a fractal. It's a circle that's repeating itself over and over and over. And we've kept this knowledge, or at least a few have kept it. And then that knowledge has gotten into the hands of some very dangerous people. Very dangerous people. People with corrupted mindsets that have no empathy whatsoever. They're very selfish, very narcissistic, to me, which is the animalistic nature of humanity. In a way, that's the evolutionary lie. There's no such thing as evolution. It's mutation, it's transmutation, always has been. But they have programmed us so deep. It's when the truth is right in our face, we go into denial because we don't have anything to bounce it off of. We don't have a reference point for the material that's right in our face. Let's talk about what's going on right now, because this is important. Mercury is in Aquarius and is fixing to leave. Come on, pop up for me. When is Mercury leaving Aquarius? 5 days. You've got 5 days. When Mercury hits debilitation, let's get it right down to the hour. There it was, 13th hour, which will be 1 in the afternoon. Let's get it to the minute. Well, let's see. There we go. Hold on. And this is going to be Central Standard Time. It will move into Aquarius on April the 9th at 12:41. Out of Aquarius into Pisces and into immediate debilitation. Right now, we should be getting straight up, standard, fixed, know-it-all information. But you're not going to get that watching the black box or listening to the radio. Even the internet. You're just going to have to look for yourself with your own eyes and be careful, because what we see deceives us. That they're banking on that. They're banking on what you believe, what you see. I won't believe it till I see it. You better not believe it when you see it, because these are magicians we're dealing with. They're wizards and warlocks, and they're good at tricking us. Let's come back to now. Because we've got, let's pull up Pluto. As you can see, Mars is now working with Saturn and not Jupiter, but we have a Jupiter-Pluto conjunction. In Capricorn, no doubt. All of this is in Capricorn. So everybody's in Saturn's house right now. And if you looked into the heavens, you would say Jupiter is going to use the collective subconscious, Pluto, to want an attack on Saturn in Saturn's house. But Saturn has Mars, which usually works with Jupiter. So Mars, from Jupiter's perspective, is a traitor at this point, okay? But becomes the strongest ally of Saturn because Mars is exalted in Saturn's house, when Jupiter would never exalt Mars. So Mars to Jupiter looks like a traitor. And we're going into Mercurian debilitation in this week. So communication shut down. Get ready for it. They've already been threatening to close off the internet and the TV for a while. So get ready for that. It could happen, and it could just be fear. How do we know? We don't. We're not on the inside. All we can do is guesstimate. But our conscious minds, our collective conscious minds, are still in a state of cardinal fire, which is purification. This is the purifier, and it's there to purify our minds. Even purification can be looked at differently depending on which side you're looking from. You know, the way to stay out of the battle of who's buying a Chevy and who's buying a Ford is to buy a third choice. Build your own. Learn how. Do something different. Don't follow the status quo. That everything here is about groupthink. That's the premise for everything. Everything in this whole age is run off of power in numbers. And so they control the thought waves of the masses. using the collective subconscious Pluto in symbolism. And you don't even know it's being done to you. Like the Catholic Church, their symbol is the Chi-Rho, which is the mutable cross, and they're still worshiping the God of the Old Testament, Aries. But the Protestant Church, they took the man off the cross and just gave you the cross, right? At least the sheeple were following the man on the cross. The people sitting in the pews were following the man on the cross in the Catholic Church. But they were being lied to by the rulers of the mutable cross and the cardinal cross. They're being lied to. And by the ones that carry the Chi-Rho. So the leaders, the X and the cardinal, are taking advantage of the man on the cross. So now the Protestants, they'll give you the cross, but they're taking the man off of it. I don't know if a lot of y'all know that, but if you see Jesus on the cross, that's a symbol of Catholicism, or the people in the pews anyway, the sheeple. But the fixed cross, and when King James wrote the Bible and the Protestant Reformation movement, all that happened, they took Jesus off the cross because they said he had risen, right? He's risen into the heavens, so he ain't on the cross anymore. It's just another brainwash. And they changed a lot from the scriptures when they changed from the Catholic to the Protestant Bible. There is things that are left out. You have the Apocrypha that's left out of the Protestant Bible. But then you have a doxology in the Lord's Prayer that was added to the Protestants that you do not find in the Catholic. For those of you who don't know what the doxology is, at the end of the Lord, they told the Christ, teach us to pray. And he said, he started with, our Father who art in heaven. Wow. Not in fire, not in water, not in earth, but our Father who art in heaven. Well, that limits it to 3 right there. Gemini, Libra, or Aquarius. And it's ended with the doxology, which is, well, I guess I have to say the whole thing to remember it. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine art the kingdom. This is the doxology. Is thine art the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. Amen. Now that word amen needs to go. It's part of the brain that triggers the thalamus and the pineal, but it is a title. It's misappropriated there. It belongs back over here. That word belongs to Aries, or Taurus into Aries. Actually, coming out of Taurus, the age of Taurus, and re-implemented in the age of Aries. So, thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever is not in the original text. Those words never came out of his mouth. It was simple, cut, sweet, and dry. You acknowledge the power is as your progenitor of your soul is the Father in heaven, or the word air, pneumatic from the Greek, out of thin air. That's the power, and then you present your needs. We're told you have not because you ask not. And that's how this construct works. But this fog that they've got the church in, which is ruling right now. So, you know, what is the word? Gregorian calendar, Gregorius, Gregorian. All of that means socially. It means social. Gregorian, to be social. So you have a socialist atheist side and a religious side. and they pit them against each other, the Chevy and the Ford. And they're all owned by the same guy. Who? The guy on the cardinal cross. The one that's ruling the mutable cross and ruling the sheeple. Remember, the Pleiades are the flock. Then the flock moves right here in the head of Leviathan and is ruling these two ages. But the flock is going to move to here. We're going to get wings. We're going to be a flock of birds. And birds are so unique. Be better careful, they'll shit on you from above. You'll never see it coming. And they're good at hitting their target as well. So Mercury going into debilitation this week. Yes, communication shutdown is possible. I'm not picking a side. I'm just telling you that card isn't coming into play. And again, let me talk about Mercury retrogrades, because they hurt some people more than others, depending on your natal chart. But because we're at the death of Peter, and Peter is crucified upside down, that's going to affect this retrograde. That is a variable that we need to keep in mind. That now that you're aware of it, you can actually take this debilitation and make it into an exaltation where it should not be. This is a power existing where it should not be. So, Mercury rules commerce and communication. That's the stock market, the internet, the TV, the telephone, everything. Everything. Newspaper, all of it. It rules everything on YouTube except for Creative Commons, and then a lot of those are just bought into it. But all of that is on the table for debilitation this week. But again, knowing that Peter's crucified upside down, we can use this for exaltation, which is what I'm going to try to do myself. So I'm not worried about Comet Atlas. I'm worried about after Comet Atlas. Are we going to go through its tail? You know, there's a statement in the Bible. There's a lot of them I need to go through. I need to just start doing this from the New Testament because it is relevant to now. But they talk about the indignation. You should, like when Moses was casting the plagues upon Egypt, and the plague of the firstborn of Egypt would die. So all the Jews are Hebrew. They weren't Jews. Jew means one tribe, Judah. But the Hebrew were told to take the lamb, take Fomalhaut, take the lamb, take Balaam. You kill Balaam, and you paint your doorpost, which are your lintels, the doorpost and the lintel. The doorpost is on either side, and the lintel is the top, with the blood of the lamb. And the indignation will pass over you. So open your pineal gland, and the indignation will pass. You stay indoors. You don't come outside while this evil occurs. So lock yourself away, go into meditation, and, you know, they're giving everybody the opportunity to do that. We're all isolated inside right now. What are you doing with this time? Are you complaining and whining? Are you taking advantage of it? Mercury retrograde. Go back and do all that shit you put off. You can use this to your advantage, whether it's straight up debilitation or crucified upside down exaltation. Now I'm going to try to flip mine to exaltation because I'm going to need it. I'll explain that at the end of this video. Excuse me, I'm a little phlegmy today. I'm not sick. Actually, I feel pretty good today. I got the best night of sleep I've had in over 2 months last night. I slept like a baby, and slept for a long time too. and it was well needed. So actually I feel pretty good. It's just been raining crazy here, and I've gotten wet a few days, but I don't feel sick in the slightest. Just a little phlegmy. Of course, yesterday, on the 3rd into the 4th, you had Venus conjunct the Pleiades, which is, again, the flock. It's the people in the pews. It's us. It's us. But when he tells you, you got to come out of her, my people, that's out of Leviathan. Come out of the church. All of them, Protestant, all of them, all of the world, all of them. I don't care if you're, the Middle East, a lot of them, they worship fire. They don't know. They don't know. And it's actually, there's nothing wrong with it. It was given to us that way. Each tribe around the world was given an element and a constellation. There are 12. But in this age, they've just thrown everything into the cauldron and stirred it. Everything's in the cauldron and being stirred. And then they've let it ferment. So we're at the end now of fermentation, and we go into distillation. It's alchemy. All of it's alchemy. And that's within us too. That is within you as well. Moon 2 days ago in its own house. Moon now, let's just pull it. Moon now in Leo, moving into Virgo. In Leo, the moon is opposite Mercury right now. They're going to have a direct opposition here, because the moon is moving from Leo into Virgo, and Mercury's moving in from Aquarius into Pisces, opposite Virgo. So they're going to do a little crisscross there. And that's at the point that you can harness that energy, where that cross flips. That's the point where you want to take what's coming as a Mercury debilitation and begin the process before it even happens to turning it into the exaltation. I know y'all didn't understand what I just said, but maybe 1 or 2 of you did, and you will be able to use that information to your advantage. It always helps when you know what's coming. So heads up. Yeah. Continued. You see, all the card they are playing. Let me tell you, why is the stock market down? Why have they done all this now? Because in their timeline, let's do it. Mercury is about here. To them, Mercury has been debilitated. They shut everything down on the Western astrology, 23 degrees. 23 degrees. So let's bring it back. Actually, it's more like 25 now. It was 23.5, but we had a tsunami in 2012 that shifted us 1 degree, which was 72 years. The days were shortened in 2012. Let's take Mercury from 351 to 01. That's 10. Let me do this back and just count it out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. Right there. In Western astrology, Mercury is here right now. And so it's been in debilitation from their perspective. They shut everything down when Mercury went didn't go retrograde, but entered that retrograde state of debilitation, not retrograde, entered debilitation. And it's wrong. So they've been out of sync for a long time, and they don't care. They don't care. Their whole game, everything they've taught us, the mindset that we've been taught in our churches is on being ruled off by 23.5 or 24.5 degrees. That's their script, and you need to know that. Most of you do. All you got to do is look up in your Western astrology astrologer. Everybody's using it. Our Mercury goes retrograde at the same time, but it doesn't go debilitated at the same time because they're looking at it, from a very weird angle. Let's put it that way. What they're doing, I've already told you this, the Earth axis is tilted. There's your 23.5 degree tilt, but we look at it from this perspective, but in all actuality it should be right up the sun there, that perspective. Or we look at it this way. Wait a minute. Across. We look at it this way. Straight up and down. But they have a tilt. So they adjust the calendar to make it look like this when it don't. Instead of just going outside and looking at the stars. They use calculus to do that, by the way. Or spherical trigonometry, exactly. More trigonometry than calculus, but calculus gets you there. Alright. What else can I tell you is going on? The Jupiter, Pluto. So, Empire, the church, the powers that be, Mercury and Jupiter have the advantage of manipulating they're in control of the collective subconscious right now. They have that power. Saturn had that power. They're going to keep swapping back and forth. I've been screaming for 10 years that 2020 is going to be the craziest thing that we've ever seen. Shit, probably since the Exodus, or the description of the Exodus. So let's just watch this dance between Saturn and Jupiter, because we've got retrogrades coming up. And they do this waltz thing. So they're both in Capricorn right now. Mars is going to leave the picture around, actually it's over here, about May 12th or 13th. Mars is going to leave Capricorn and out of the picture of this dance between Saturn and Jupiter. He's still in Saturn's power as long as he's in Aquarius. But they both are going to go retrograde. Let me back this up again. They're going to go retrograde about the same time. Now, retrograde is when a planet is at its closest point to the Earth. So, that's when its energy is the strongest and affects us the most, is during a retrograde, especially when it's at that stop point. So, May 2021, huge surge in Saturn and Jupiter. And they're going to go retrograde at the same time. So, Jupiter has been, I don't want to use the word tracking, or he has been on Saturn's tail, chasing Saturn for quite a while, the past few months. Now, it's going to turn around. Saturn's going to turn the tables and chase Jupiter right back into Jupiter's own house. Talk about being put in your place. We're going to see it coming. Even though they're both going to be retrograde. And then they're going to come back and it's going to flip. And Jupiter is going to chase Saturn back into Saturn's house, both in Capricorn now and right up to the eclipse. It is going to be crazy. And on the eclipse, Jupiter loses because it's Saturn's house. And he's done. We have a Mercury, on that day, we also have the Mercury Sun. Pull it back. Mercury Sun right on top of each other. So you'll have Mercury combust. There will be no communication. It's going to be manipulated, shut down. You won't get any real information. Let's pull it over this. This won't happen on the same day, will it? I don't think. No, the moon will not reach Mars, but damn close. It will during the phase, because that Saturn-Jupiter conjunction takes, remember, the 3 degrees coming in, and going out. So yeah, we're going to have a Moon-Mars conjunction in Pisces during this Saturn-Jupiter phase conjunction on the 23rd. Just hours before Christmas Eve. Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. Let's bring it back to Eve and take it up to there. Let's get us within a 30-minute warp. So let's take a look at Christmas Day, because the sun dies on one day and it rises 3 days later. So this is the birth of the sun now. You're looking at the birth of the sun now. And Jupiter still in conjunct with Saturn. You know, Nibiru is a Babylonian name for Jupiter. It is also used today by a lot of the Arabian tongues and dialects still use Nibiru and Mustari, or mystery, are the 2 names of Jupiter. But when Jupiter eclipses Saturn, we don't see Saturn. We only see Jupiter. And because Saturn is behind Jupiter, and Jupiter is the bigger planet, but we can see the rings of Jupiter poke out either side, and that's what they call Nibiru. It's Jupiter wearing the crown, or trying to wear the crown of Saturn. And this time, to me, that's Jupiter. Jupiter and Mercury play Baphomet. Actually, it's a play on Aries and Libra, if you want to know the truth about it, because they exchanged the ram of Mendes for the goat of Mendes. It's a false. Baphomet is the false image for Aquarius Capricorn. It's the false image. The red goat. It's a black goat and a red man and a white fishtail. But when you ask me who these people are, these people go way back. To me, before the flood, the symbol of Babylon is the age of Leo. So it was the age of Leo when they were at their height. And then the age of Cancer, we got a clean slate. But they started all over again in Gemini, when the sons of God, or air, heavens, come into the daughters of men, which is Gemini, into Taurus. And all the symbols that we're using right now are part of those. The Freemasonry, this age, should be Pisces, Virgo, black and white, not Taurus, Scorpio. It's all imposter. It's all hijacked. But all that's going to change, because Saturn in Capricorn is really good at putting things in order, putting them where they belong. Like I said, that they put us in a cauldron and stirred us around. The puzzle pieces are everywhere. But Saturn in Capricorn is really good about putting them exactly where they belong. and that includes the trash. The first thing Saturn does is take out the trash. Before you even start cleaning, you just take the bulk of the trash out of the picture. In the Bible, that is, during the harvest, the tares are gathered first, thrown into the fire, and burnt. And then the wheat is gathered into the barn to save. And then what happens to the field is the poor and the needy, they get to come in and glean. They can take whatever's left, free of charge. That's the principle. That's New Testament doctrine, law of alchemy. You are never supposed to take every piece of fruit out of the field. You go pick the good fruit. You're supposed to give the first to the priest. That was a priestly law, not one from God. They just wanted their part. They're greedy. These people don't work. They believe in slavery. They're better than that. You have to give them. Supposedly you have the land, like when the 12 tribes were split up. Every tribe got a piece of land, but the Levites did not. They were keepers of the temple, so they didn't get land to grow food on. So every tribe had to give them 1/10, so that they could sustain the temple and not have to work. Now they want it all, and they own the land too. They took everything. That's why I keep telling you, I know who's doing this. I don't care what robes they've put on, what names they have, what bloodlines or skin color. They don't care about any of that. These are dark souls. The Christ told the Pharisees and the Sadducees, you are not Abraham's seed. If you were Abraham's seed, you'd be doing what Abraham did. You are the seed of your father was a murderer from the beginning. So they're the offspring of murderers. And we'll leave that at that. And, I'm the kind of person that I don't know if I could kill somebody if I thought that was my only option to save my own life. Like in a fight, if somebody was trying, I don't know if I could even gouge their eyes out to save my own life. I'm such an empath that if somebody else feels extraordinary pain, I actually feel it before they do. I'll experience it. It's creepy, to say the least, because I do get the creeps off creepy people, but I don't know that I could. I mean, I might try to fight to save my life, but I would never go as far as to take another life simply to save my own. Even if it appeared to be the right thing to do. I'm not sure I could do that as an empath. I don't think my fight or flight instincts are that strong to where I could just instinctively just snuff somebody out to save my own life. I could to save someone else's. I'm not saying I'm not capable, because if I seen somebody trying to harm a child and I knew the only way to stop that would be to kill that person, then I would do it without hesitation. But I'm talking about somebody trying to take my life. I'll defend myself. I'm not saying that, but I'm not one that would kill them. I might try to maim them or something, but I would never take their life simply to stop. Mine would go first, without hesitation. We are all capable of anything in this construct. Everything's possible here. Not only is it possible in this magic circle of time, it all happens. All of this has happened before, and it will all happen again. Like back to Atlas. Say Atlas is real. Hell, we don't know. Have you seen it? other than the website they allow us to look at it on, because it ain't on Stellarium. Can't do that anymore. Can't find the comet here nor there nor anywhere. But just say that it is. Then comet's not a worry, but its tail could be. Anytime we pass through the tail of a comet, because we don't know, I'd advise you to stay indoors. We don't know what's going to fall or befall us. We have no idea what will befall us. Okay, I'm 50 minutes into this video, and I don't feel like I've said anything. I really don't. Let me pull us back to now. Let's get out of the future. Let's deal with what's going on right now. Because I am headed, I'm just going to make this the end of the video in my personal update. So y'all need to know what's going on. I have good news. A lot of good news. So, and I've been waiting on this so I can tell y'all what's been going on. Because I've been keeping it to myself. Because I didn't want you to worry or any of that till I knew something for sure. So it's for sure now. It's a done deal. Which is probably why I had the best night's sleep I've had in a few months last night. Because it's a done deal now. During my trip, when I was leaving Lawton, I got sick. And I ended up at the doctor I used to go to. And I had strep throat. No big deal. Over it in a few days was fine. But found out that while I was there, I was holding my side a lot. And I found out my spleen is enlarged by about 4 times as it should be. And which explains a lot about what's going on with my health, and especially my weight. When my spleen was first damaged, I lost 1/3 of my body weight in just a few months. My bowels were bothering me really bad. I even tried to go to the emergency room about it, but they didn't help me at all. Anyway, I've learned to adjust my diet, adjust my eating habits to what's comfortable with my body. But now I'm understanding why all this adjustment was needed. It's because my spleen was damaged a lot more than I thought. Matter of fact, it's in really bad shape. So bad, they actually want to remove my spleen. Well, I was living in my van, didn't have a home, got my dog with me, and there's no way I can go have this surgery. Not even that I've decided to do it yet. I'm looking at alternative options. I am not looking, I am doing alternative options. So I finally got in touch with my cousin who's living in Texas. And we've been looking for a place together. She's agreed to help me if I need the surgery. She can help take care of me and take care of Kelly while I recover. So we finally, after 2 months of searching, finally rented a place yesterday. We've still got to get the utilities turned on, and neither one of us have furniture. I put all my furniture in storage in Las Vegas, and then when it looked like I wasn't going to get a place, I didn't want to continue to pay storage, so I run an ad and I sold everything in the storage room as one lot. And I didn't get all my money back, but I got some of it back, which helped. So we've still got to turn on the utilities, get furniture. I'm looking into internet. There's no cable there. We're not, even though it's a small town, they don't have any Comcast or anything like that. So I'm going to have to go Viasat, HughesNet, one of those, which I hate, or Wi-Fi hotspot. I won't know if I can do that till I actually get there. It's about an 1.5-hour drive from where I'm at right now. And I'll be leaving in the morning to go there. We'll go tomorrow and get all the utilities turned on. It might take them a couple days to get them on, but things are in motion. And she has a roommate, so there's actually going to be 3 of us. We'll be 3 ladies together, and it couldn't be more perfect. We really need each other. and this is probably the only member of my family that has ever cared about me at all. She's been more like a sister to me in my lifetime than any of my sisters. We're only born a few months apart. Our mothers are sisters, and they're the two babies of the family. And they were pregnant at the same time, and both of them had girls. And we both have dark brown eyes. We have dark hair and dark eyes. The rest of the family is all got blue eyes or green eyes. So we have a lot in common. We always have. We're kind of weird in our families. For girls, we were both tomboys. We both had our appendix out. We have a lot in common. And our lives have crossed paths many times. And we've always known that we would spend the end of our lives together. And so it's now occurring. So she is basically retired law enforcement. She's worked in prisons and with juvenile detention and stuff like that, armed guards. So she has a masculine nature to her, as do I. I grew up the tomboy, working on cars and, going fishing, going hunting, all of it. My brother was a bit of a sissy, so I was my dad's little boy. And she grew up with karate and all kind of stuff, very, masculine things that we're interested in. So very compatible as roommates, and we have a hell of a lot of respect for each other as well. And I like her roommate too. I think we'll make a good team. So we've all got somebody to fall back on and help each other out, because like I said, she's retired. She's on disability now. So she has an income. So it's going to work out for all of us. And I'll finally have somewhere to put roots. And we got us a little house in a little bitty town, and it's old. It's an old house, but it's 3 bedrooms. That's been the problem, is finding a place with that 3rd bedroom, or finding a place that will rent to me at all. As a matter of fact, I have applied to over 100 places, but the minute I flash my Nevada license, they come up with some reason to turn me down. Like I've just come running here, running from the coronavirus or something. I don't know. I even have my Oklahoma driver's license, where I've lived here for over a decade. But that made no difference. But the minute the first one she applied for, they gave it to us. So I'm very grateful that I'm going to have a home now. And I'm going to be able to set my stuff up and get my computer out and get back to real work. Because what I'm on right now, I can't even, this little thing I put together from a notebook, a netbook, and a laptop, I've been through 2 chargers. And the battery will not charge at all. So, and I'm having trouble with the charger even staying online. I've got halfway through a video and everything just shut down, because it jiggled the cord and it shut down on me. So it's been very aggravating to even do a video. And it has no USB ports, so I can't even plug a mouse into it to really do a chart or anything like that. I just have to scribble through it. And I don't know about y'all, but I'm used to doing my own nails. I have really long fingernails. They just grow so fast, it's incredible. My hair and my nails grow super fast. And everything is still packed away. I have everything to do my nails. It's just been packed away. So they're so long they're starting to curve. And some of them are broken. And there's no nail salon to where I can go get somebody else to do it. You can't even get in a pharmacy to say, well, I need to get some clippers and files and all of that. It's just freaking crazy. So I'm going to be glad just to unpack my stuff. I've been living out of the van in a motel room here and there for over 2 months now. And it's really taken its toll on me physically. It's very hard having to deal with Kelly in and out of the van like she is. So thankfully, I am very, very grateful. But also I know I'm moving into a spot that I might, because of the Mercury debilitation coming up, I might not be able to upload for a while. On the other hand, if I can flip this cross and turn this debilitation into an exaltation, use it to my advantage, being as I know Peter's dying upside down, then I might just come out better on this. And that's what I'm shooting for. I'm going to see what I can do about getting Viasat, or find out what my options are, at least. So, that's my update. Good news. I'm out of the van and the hotel as of tomorrow. I might have to spend a night or two in a hotel room there until they get the power on. It's been really cold and wet here, and I don't want to subject myself to the elements any more than I have to. I've been getting wet enough just trying to get Kelly out to use the bathroom. And she's been a trooper, and she really loves my cousin. Of course, Kelly loves everybody. Overly aggressive. She's the center of attention no matter what. I've always said she's an attention whore. Really bad. A Mimi, to say the least. I need to pause here for a second before I wrap this up. Alright, I'm back. I was fixing to do the pee-pee dance there. I was trying to hold it, and I really needed to go. So, got to get some furniture, which is going to be hard. Everything's closed. No yard sales, no thrift stores, no Goodwill. It's just going to be hard to find some stuff. So I'm going to, when I do this video, I'm going to order me a bed offline. All I need is a little twin bed anyway, so I can just have it shipped there. I don't know what else to do to get furniture at this point. I've tried to look on Craigslist, and there's just nothing there for this part of Oklahoma. I'm in the southeast, and I'm kind of gonna be between Oklahoma City and Dallas, in that area there. So, but in Oklahoma, which is good. Her son, speaking of my cousin again, we both only had one child each, and both boys. So she's a grandma now, and she has a little grandbaby. Oh, she's so precious. I can't wait to meet her. I got to put up a fence for Kelly. That's allowed. It's partially fenced, but I'm going to have to finish closing it in. And it has a back door, so I can just put her in a doggy door, and she can come and go as she pleases. I won't ever have to walk her again unless I'm taking her somewhere. So that is going to be a huge relief to me, because she weighs as much as I do now. She drags me around. I don't walk her. She drags me. So I've lost so much body weight, and now I know why. My body is not, I'm not getting any nutritional value from my food because my spleen is not working. And I'll know more about that coming up. I've had a lot of tests done, and there's some other things going on as well. But it all seems to be because my spleen is not functioning, and it's inhibiting my liver, a kidney, and my stomach. It's literally, I can only eat just a few bites of food at a time. And I'm full. I'm just not hungry anymore. I'm full now. And so I have to just nibble all day long to get any food in me. So something has to be done. And I am, for the past a month, almost 2 months now, a month and a half, I have been trying to go through the process of getting the inflammation out. When I drive around, when I've been driving around, all this driving I've been doing, it's irritating it. And my rib cage is rubbing on my spleen so hard that it's making it swell more. And so it's becoming a problem. So I'm going to be glad to get out of the van to where I can just stand up and stretch out and give my spleen more room. And that it's very painful. I cannot begin to tell you the pain, but kratom does help. So, which is something else I need to do. I needed an address to even get kratom. I'm right at the end of everything, and so couldn't have happened at a better time. So we might be without some furniture. It's sitting right next to a brand new laundromat, so we don't even have to just walk out the door and walk in the other door. We have a business on one side and behind, and just one neighbor. Beautiful little neighborhood. The house is really old. It has a front porch, but I think we can fix it up and clean it up, and it is livable. And it's exactly what we needed for the three of us and for Kelly. And so, good news all the way around. I'm just extremely happy. I want to thank everybody that's made donations to this channel, and especially Susan. I can never thank you enough. I could thank you every day of my life. And, you know, I left Las Vegas the day Trump announced, put into action his coronavirus task force. And I was unaware of all that at the time. I don't watch the TV. I wasn't paying attention to what was going on. But yeah, I'm glad to be out of that complex, out of Las Vegas. I think they're going to get hit harder and have a harder time than anybody. Because the first thing that was closed were the casinos. Out of anywhere, the first thing that was shut down was entertainment. Casinos, movie theaters, all of it. And that's what Las Vegas lives on. So those people there are in big trouble. Especially since most of the rentals there are weeklies or monthly rentals. You don't get a lease. That way they can go up on your rent anytime they want. They don't need an excuse. They can just do it. You don't have a lease. You can get evicted. You don't have a lease. And yeah, so I couldn't be more grateful. The heavens were definitely looking out for me. And Susan, thank you. And the rest of you who donated to this channel. You've what has gotten me this far. Thank you all so much. You know, a lot of you, I did get a lot of comments on the last video about Stellarium tutorial part 1 that it didn't make sense to you. That's okay, because when I do part 2, you're going to understand it. You're going to understand why, and understanding why something is really going to help out to understand the whole concept. So, like I said, it's a 2-part, and you're probably going to watch them both a couple of times if you really want to get it. But you really want to carry your cross. This is the information you need to know. I'm actually considering going ahead and doing the 3rd part to Stellarium, a video that needs to be done that I haven't done, which is where I go through each constellation and tell you who the ruler is and what it means for each planet to be in that constellation. To be in that constellation retrograde. I'll go through each planet and what it means to be in each constellation. That way, you'll have all the information that you need. You'll have Stellarium 1 explaining who everybody is and what part they play. Then I'm going to do Stellarium 2. I'm actually going to do a chart on Stellarium and show you firsthand how it's done. But doing somebody else's chart and doing your own is really very different. So that's going to require the 3rd video, which is going through each one so you can just write down the information that affects you. Okay? But first we needed to understand what it is we're doing. How alchemical astrology is different from solar astrology or lunar astrology. That it's right up the middle. We're going to use the fixed cross to do this with. And it explains everything to us. The past, the present, the future, the who, what, where, when, why, and how of it all. You can answer anything. And this is the script. This is the original script. Now the scribes have scribbled our scriptures in our books. So we need to know how to unscribble it so we can know the truth of a thing. In this self-repeating fractal that has many, many variables. But I see a very bright future for us coming up. And, of course, there's the war going on between Chevy and Ford. They haven't figured out yet that they're both being played. Both sides are being played by what I always call the puppet master is Geppetto, right? Geppetto plays Pinocchio. All right, people, that's the end of this video, and to all of you who have donated, thank you. And for all of those who have not, consider becoming a part of this. This channel will never be monetized unless YouTube forces it, and then I'm probably just going to take all the videos to maybe my own website. I think I might open once I get in and get settled, that is on my list to do. Get me settled, get Kelly squared away, get my health squared away, finish uploading the charts. Somewhere between Lawton and when I landed here, I lost my flash drive. Still haven't found it. And so I haven't been able to finish uploading those charts, but I have the originals on my tower that's packed away. So when I do get settled and get the tower out, the first thing, and get online, the first thing I'm doing is uploading the rest of those charts. And then we can move forward with Stellarium 2 tutorial, Stellarium 3 tutorial, and then I will move into looking at getting my own website to put my own videos on. That way, if something does happen to YouTube, all of this information will be saved somewhere else. That I don't want monetization on my channel. I know who the adversary is, and I don't want to put a penny in their coffers if I can help it. Not one copper.